Okay, let's say the pledge to the flag, please. All rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, happy October, the month of Halloween. Maybe. Depends on how cold it gets, you know.
You didn't wear your mask. You were looking
Oh,
forward.
I forgot my mask.
You were
Well,
looking forward to not
sorry
seeing
guys,
it.
I'll have to look at last year's, you'll have to look at last year's meeting there.
That's not a mask.
Remember, to get my mask. Okay, Troy, call the meeting order, roll call. Darlene?
Mark Folks,
Here.
Mark Frazier,
Here.
Francis Griffith,
Here.
Kelly Schmidt's absent, Troy Parmalee.
Here. Okay, Darlene Frazier. Or Darlene, Darlene Parks. All right, September 1st, meeting minutes. Oh, agenda, okay, we have the agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
All right.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Who
okay.
seconded?
Mark.
Frazier.
Yeah. Troy and Mark. Frazier. Yes.
She's got it.
September 1st, regular meeting minutes. You should have those in your box.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Okay. Made motion and seconded by Butch. All in favor?
Aye.
Check. Aye. Public comment? Okay. Going once? Okay. Troy, sheriff report.
All right, for September, we had 114 complaints. Of those, 15 of them were traffic stops.
Okay.
And a little bit of everything else.
Okay, a little bit of everything else. All right, thank you. CISA.
Well, we had a much less contentious meeting this last time.
Good.
We put the deputy.
It was here, right.
Yeah, we put the deputy chief back into the officers, you know.
Budget.
We were gonna remove it. It wasn't money, it was just, we didn't think it was necessary, but
Okay.
the guys did, and they made it pretty plain, so they were pretty happy. There was quite a few of them here.
Okay.
Worked on the budget, and, the, Burns Township agreement, because what we're doing in Burns now is they're running an MFR truck, which means that on a medical run that the ambulance is going on, other than a lift assist or something, their truck also goes, so that, because the ambulance is coming from Durand or Vernon normally. So it just gives somebody there quicker, so. That's happening, and call-wise, and this is because of Durand, but we're up, over 400 calls for the year so far, 420.
Wow.
And that's helping, but we're also running a mutual aid assist to Langsburg an awful lot. There are many days they don't have a rig on the road.
I heard that.
So we're working on trying to figure out a solution to that. The
Yeah.
problem is that just LSW doesn't have enough calls, and we'd have to put a truck out there. And it would not be financially feasible, and we don't wanna put the burden on the rest of the CESA members for that. Now, there's a couple of alternatives. Victory Township is talking to us about us also running there, which is in Clinton.
Oh,
Just over the line, the township west of Scioto.
And Langsburg already runs fire in their area, so, that's a possibility. And, you know, there's just some other things.
Meridian Road, isn't it, Troy?
We're trying to talk to them about, they may have to kick in more money than the other members do, or something.
something to offset.
Yeah, because it's
Is
based,
it every day?
well, but it's
Almost.
probably 3 or 4 a week.
That's a lot.
So we're,
Is their run volume per population lower than ours?
yeah. Not probably per population, but the population's lower. So that, that creates an issue. Now, see, we ran, medical runs into LSW, we ran 16 of them in August. That's quite a few in one
It's one every other day.
Yeah,
You know, and you're pulling this rig out of here,
right.
or if this rig's already on a call, you're pulling one from the other side of the county, basically, so.
Sure.
So when this rig is out, do they tone in like another crew, or they just
No.
Duran back it up?
No, everybody works on mutual aid, so if our rig, there's been times when I'm listening that all three of our rigs are on calls. That means Corona's getting the call, or the city's getting the call, you know.
Wasso City, yeah.
Wasso City. It used to be Linesburg would get the call, but it's pretty rare that they're available when we need them, so. The other side of that is having another rig on this side of the county wouldn't be an all bad thing, but, you know, we wanna be careful about it because of the dollars involved. It's about $450,000 a year just to have an ambulance and have it available and staffed. That doesn't include the extra cost of runs and stuff like that, so that's a pretty good hit to the budget if you're only bringing in, say, 300,000, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So we're really, but we don't wanna leave them in a lurch, but this mutual aid thing is, they're asking a lot.
Mutual aid only works as long as it's both ways.
Well,
You
as
know,
long
and-
as it's true mutual aid, but in this case, we're really covering. And that's kind of so I don't know where that's
What
gonna
does
go.
does Woodhull have opinions on this, or?
Woodhull supposedly didn't even know about it. That this was.
And is that rig out of Shasburg, or is it out of Lanesburg?
Out of Lanesburg.
Lanesburg.
So they're not running a rig out of Shasburg at all?
No, occasionally they bring it down there, but for the most part, it's stationed when it's on, it's stationed at Lanesburg. And so then if we get a call to Shasburg, it's not so bad.
Sure, right, I mean, Shasburg isn't bad.
It's the north end of Sciota that's a problem.
Lanesburg's a problem, yeah.
Well, Lanesburg isn't even too bad, but the north end of Sciota is really an issue for us, so. We'll see, you know, and the other problem with putting another rig on is getting enough people. We're having a tough time finding medics.
Sure,
You know, there's a shortage of them all over the state, so that's,
big issue.
that is a big issue, yeah. So, but we're working on it, we don't wanna leave them in the lurch. You know, that's not by any means our intention to do, so,
Okay.
you know, even though it costs, what, $2.50 extra a month or something.
Thanks. Okay. DDA, we meet this month.
Hey, were we supposed to do another,
No, strike that.
oh, okay,
She pledged her.
That was a cut and paste.
oh, okay.
So, yeah.
No,
sorry
we're
about
all
that.
set on that.
And so, DDA, we will meet the 20th, October 20th, and today, Krista, the lady from Consumer Energy, gave me the numbers for the lighting, going all the way from 52 all the way to Britain, and then Britain all the way to Bruce. And also, the city wants to explore also going the other way to, from the corner of 52 east all the way to Elsesser. So we've got the dollars there. Our portion, the DDA portion, will be about 60-some thousand. And then their portion, 60,000 plus another 40,000.
Well, I'm really pleased with the lights that
Yeah.
were put on the west side. That's, they're not
Pretty nice.
intrusive and they light things up well without being,
Overly, no,
Yeah.
they're nice, they are,
Yeah.
they are, and have not had any,
Britain and Lansing, that's a dark intersection.
well, that'll be lit up if we,
Yeah,
if
no,
we
I'm
do
saying.
this, yeah. But
So-
it'll go all the way past the Ford dealer.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, if the city does that, I mean, their share would be $100,000 on that,
we'll see how they,
we'll see.
see if I keep it propped up, I'm not sure, we'll try. Sue, we need your help. Okay, so, moving on with the zoning, we do have a new, storage, the, CNJ, which is the one on Bath Road. They're gonna build another, 40 by 100 storage, building.
By the tracks there.
Yeah, by the tracks. And then we talked about Thorn Apple, the 20 by 30 pole barn going up, that's fine. And we still have some enforcement issues. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so Countryside Trailer, we had some permits on that, a couple of those. And that was our month. We haven't got the one for this
But
month.
them were tear outs. Countryside was tear outs.
Tear outs, okay,
Yeah.
a couple of them, okay. So that was that. And last night I had an MTA meeting and Dwayne was mentioning about the digital sign that they put up at the Labor's Training Union. So I spoke to the ex-director, he's retired, but we'll work on trying to see where they're at with the second sign. And they wanted to wait several months to see if there was any negative feedback from the digital sign, and they had none. So anyway, trying to get the other old signs out. So that's in the works, I think.
Well, the big issue was, they said that was the site plan, that there wasn't nothing mentioned about removing
Well,
the one sign, but how do you replace something and not remove something?
yeah, well, I haven't talked to the new director, so I will make an effort to go through it with him. Commissioners, he can't be here today, he's at
Shacksburg.
yeah, he's at Hayes, area, Woodhull Township. He was there last night, he spoke quite a bit about many things that they're working on in the finance committee at the county level. And interesting thing he did say, and I'll mention this, he talked a little bit about the company from Georgia that's running in the UP of Michigan and the northern half of Michigan, and running 5G everywhere, and they're evidently outpricing. They can beat Verizon and all the companies, and evidently they're doing it right now. And they're doing, I think they got grants and all kinds. They write grants, they get money. Anyway, the county has said we need to look at what they're doing, and so they're going to look at that. So anyway, that was kind of interesting. All right, Jamie from the library. We see her once a year, maybe twice a year.
Once a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
Welcome.
for having me. And I've got my brochure full of the statistics.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You might. I know Patty's got one, but there's
Thank you.
that. Okay, I'm a little late this year because your meetings overlap with other ones, so I could only get to so many on them.
No.
Monday, everybody seems to have meetings on Mondays.
This is Wednesday though.
And Wednesdays.
Monday,
And Wednesdays.
And Monday.
You're right, it is Wednesday, isn't it? I knew that. Let's see, so the past year, it's actually been a pretty good year for us. We rebounded pretty well from, we had to close for 3 months, but that was last year. We reopened, and slowly but surely our foot traffic has increased at all of the branches, including Morris. In fact, right now, my office is in Corunna, so I see all of the Corunna traffic, and the after-school crowd is huge in Corunna. And Jenny reported in Morris that she's starting to get more kids in as well, so that's good to see. But it's been kind of a challenging year as far as programming goes, because we do a lot of programming. We've always been known to do a lot of programming, and it's in-person stuff, and we were not able to do that last year because we just legally couldn't hold in-person stuff. So we had to do a lot of things virtually, and it's just not the same. We have a story time person. Her name is Miss Joni. She was recording story times and putting them online, and so that was kind of nice, but we just didn't have that, the base of people coming in just for programming and using the library. But we're back to in-person. We started in probably the end of July, August, when we were allowed to, and then we're building that back up. So book clubs, story times, we've got lots of things coming up for in-person programming. So I'm really happy about that. A few big projects that we worked on last year was a new website. We hired a vendor specifically for libraries to create our website. and that was about a 4-month process. I had no idea the amount of work that would go into it. But if you haven't already, go ahead and check our website out. It's fantastic. Because we have a lot of library-specific needs, like calendar registration for programming, our online databases. We have tons of research databases, so all of that had to be specific to libraries, and they did a fabulous job. I can't say enough about the vendor that we use, but we've had that up and going for about 4 months now, and a lot of people are finding our resources because of that website. We also have a library app. A lot of people don't, especially the younger generation, they don't want to necessarily get on their phone and like search up a website. They want to boop an app and it opens up. So we have that now, which is a big deal. So patrons can get on and they can register for programs online. They can place requests and holds for materials right through their app. They don't even have to go through our website. So that's been up and going for about 6 months to 8 months now. And that was a big deal. Last summer, we also moved our New Lothrop branch out of the school. I may or may not have mentioned this last time. But that was huge for us because if we had done it, we probably would have had to close that branch. So we only have one branch left in a school, and that's in Byron.
So how do those work when they're in the school, other than I assume not well?
Not well. I can't say that. We are very thankful and very lucky that Byron allows us to, especially during this type, of situation with COVID, that they allow us to maintain a public library within the building. But obviously, the public library and the school library are they're separate populations that you're serving. You can't have censored computers in a public library, but in Byron they are, and then there's students in there who wants to necessarily come in and use a public library, and there's a classroom full of students, and so we do kind of open later in Byron to accommodate that. But I would really love our own building in Byron. There's not a lot of buildings, number one, and but it works well for the community. At least they don't have to drive really far to get to a public library.
So you do share the same library, basically?
It's the same. It's our public library is in their school library.
Oh,
Yes, and we share a staff member, and we have for the since I've been there. So their school librarian is our public librarian too, and that's kind of a difficult position because you've got two different populations, and you're selecting collections for different people or age groups, but we basically kind of staff it for them, but they pay for their hours too, so we kind of go in on the staff salary and hours and such. So yeah, it's unusual. Yeah, it was a big thing back in the 90s in small communities for school administrators to kind of push public libraries into school libraries because they didn't want to duplicate services and things. And after a few years, people started realizing that it doesn't work well.
Well, there's lots of rules to go into a school these
A lot.
days.
And we are very lucky that, they hired a new superintendent last year, and we were lucky that superintendent, he allows us into that building still. It's a matter of, any time they get new school administration, they might not like that.
Well, that's what happened in New Lothrop, right?
No, well, they wanted to improve the school in, they had a huge construction project, and they wanted to do the inside and to accommodate their needs, and it didn't fit our needs, and so we really needed to get out just because of that. So
I want to thank you for keeping the wireless on at most of the locations when the libraries weren't open, so people could at least have access.
yeah, we did. Our wireless usage went up pretty significantly, and I think a lot of the schools kept them on too, because we can access all those statistics off off-site, and yeah, we were part of some group, some website where it would advertise to people for free Wi-Fi if needed. So yeah, it was a crazy year last year, and that was helpful. We also were able to add to our collection these. I love these. These are called Wonder Books, and we had a $6,000 grant through our library cooperative, and they're built-in audiobooks, read by a narrator, and so kids can read along to it, and these are wonderful because not every kid gets read to. Not every kid gets to sit on their parent's lap or whatever. These are fantastic because you can get these in picture books, which is what this is, or chapter books. Like Diary of a Wimpy Kid type. Most kids, you're taught to read through 3rd grade. After 3rd grade, you read to learn, and if you miss learning how to read after 3rd grade and you can't read well, then these types of chapter books really help out and do the trick. So we were thankful to get that grant because those are not cheap books, and we hope to continue them to the collection. We also received a grant through the library cooperative, and we purchased these badge books, which are we purchased these to go along with our summer reading program, but it helps kids engage more in summer reading instead of just tracking reading time or number of books read. This kept the kids busy all summer, and they came in, to show us their completed activities and prizes. These, I can't say enough about these because this last summer, when we had to close down, our summer reading numbers were like at 300 signups when they're normally 800. And this brought our numbers back up to 800 this year. So we're definitely going to get them for next year. And, the parents raved about them, teachers. In fact, we gave a few boxes to the school in Morris for some of their summer literacy programs that they were doing because we ordered so many. So we'll definitely offer them next summer. And, we also created a strategic plan. So we've been busy. Even though we haven't been busy with foot traffic, we've been quite busy behind the scenes. And the strategic plan was quite a project, and we have lots of goals that we have to get through in the next 5 years, and that should be fun. And then as far as, all this funding that's coming out, I applied for the Michigan Reconnectivity Grant. I don't know, I think that might just apply to schools and libraries, but I'm sure there's a ton of stuff for local municipalities. But we received a funding commitment from the federal government. It's basically for connecting to the internet, Wi-Fi, broadband, all of that. So I applied to have 105 hotspots district-wide and 70 tablets, all with internet connection, which is about $7,000 a month. I know, because it's like $30 a line. It's through Verizon. And it was, they agreed to it. They sent the funding commitment decision. And we also have Chromebooks. We have about 10, 11 Chromebooks that will connect to the internet that we can circulate. So we just received those in the library. We're processing those. So we're kind of up with the bigger libraries, like Capital Area District, because they've been offering this for a couple of years now because they have the budget. So we're excited to hopefully get those out sometime in November and get those circulating, and people who don't have, devices at home, they can now check them out at the library. It's a big deal. Now I hope funding will continue because it's only supposed to go through June 30th of next year is what the ARPA funding that they're getting this money goes through. So I'm hoping it gets extended because otherwise we're going to lose we can't pay for, 170 lines of internet a month. So I've been told that they need to make decisions on it, but otherwise we have the devices still to circulate, they just can't connect to the internet. But we get what is given to us, so. This is from last month's This is Patty. Does Patty, I won't read everything
No, you
here,
don't need
but
to read it, just.
yeah, we're working on our audit. Talks about, do you guys read this? Because I'm sure, does Mark, do you read, Morris's?
Everybody on the board
Okay.
gets it. Yeah.
Oh, good.
He just
Okay.
hits highlights, you know.
That.
Oh, yeah, we get a copy.
That's good because, I mean, especially the branch-specific ones, you know, I mean, people want to know what's going on at their local branch. So Jenny Oliver, she's still the branch manager. She doesn't come to these meetings because she does not like public speaking. Otherwise, you would probably see her, but she's terrified of public speaking. But if you wanted to, go ahead and stop in the library and see her. We did paint a new mural on the outside of the Morris branch.
This looks very nice.
Yeah, it says library on it.
Yes. South
Yeah, it was, I can't remember, Monet, I believe it was Monet, and done several years ago by the school.
Who painted it?
Actually, our office manager, her twin daughters, who are high schoolers, painted it
Wow.
for, what is it, Honor Society, I believe, project, so,
Cool.
yeah.
It
Yeah,
looks really nice.
It does look nice, yes, it brightens things up, and at least people know, hey, you know there's a library now, because it says in huge letters, there's a library, so,
Well, that's good.
yeah. So, and then of course you've got all your stats, I'm not gonna talk about how many circulations and, but if you care to look at that, you can, so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So everything's going well though, I mean,
Any questions for Jamie? Great. Good
No,
job.
okay.
Thank you,
Thanks,
thank you.
Jamie.
yeah, thank you.
That big book on the monsters, how many books like that are there?
We ordered, I would say every one that they had published about at the time, over 100 of them at least, but it's district-wide, so
Yeah, that's still,
probably even more than that. I think there's, because Corona probably has a good 30, 40 of them. But these are, oh, I love these. You should check them out. I mean, if you like audiobooks, but
okay,
Yeah.
thanks again, Jamie.
yeah, thanks.
All right, Troy, let's have the I-69 training.
I think our meeting's actually gonna be next week.
Next week, coming up. Okay. All right, back to Mark, SEDP.
Well, we've appointed some new board members because there's been some changes because of bank consolidations and
yeah.
other things. We're up about $40,000 or $50,000 in dues money because, that's in addition to what we got from the county, but because of new members and also because of people that increased their investment. So that's been good. We're working on that 501c3. And basically, that's about it.
Okay, all right. How about our local planning commission here?
Well, we're working on the master plan,
Okay.
and actually Beth is really shouldering a lot of that, but
Who?
Beth,
Okay.
she's gone through Bennington's, and what she discovered, Bennington has a really thick master plan, but their typeset is twice as large as ours. So that's a lot of the pages.
So it's easy to read.
Yeah, it is all easier to read. So, we're waiting, one of the big things we're waiting on right now is, of course, the census figures and that, like everybody else is waiting on.
Yeah.
And, also, we're working on, taking, because we have a disc with a lot of information on it, we're starting to cut and paste instead of just trying to handwrite it. But
Okay.
we talked about Slocum's a little bit. They've pulled back their application to make their entrance on Winiger, and they've applied with MDOT to do
Like they
that.
should have.
Well, yeah, that's,
Okay.
I don't think they realize the cost, but,
Not yet.
and other than that, that was about all we had at the last
All right.
planning
Thanks,
commission.
Troy. All right. Troy, financial report and pay the bills.
All right, so you got your bills list in front of you. We had 5 weeks between board meetings, so it's a longer list. Highlights, we had our third revenue sharing check of the fiscal year come in, which was, $62,000, so, very good.
Good.
If you look at the budget to date numbers, so through October 1st, we're halfway through the fiscal year. So just when, you know, you're looking at numbers to get an idea, you know, everything looks really good. You know, things are chugging in. On our stimulus money, they are working through it, and they called us last week, and our DUNS number didn't match what was activated in our SAM.gov account, and
Federal account.
yes, right, so we had to resubmit some paperwork, so, you know.
Are we renting hall a lot?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Just
otherwise,
starting to get back up.
Starting to get, I mean, we have rented it, we aren't as busy as we would have been prior to COVID. When you
But
say
it
that.
is, but we are,
We are renting, it's just not, you know,
every other
what
weekend.
would you say, it's down maybe a third of what normally is?
Yeah.
well, we were.
Well, we didn't rent it at
beginning
all for a better part of
fiscal
the year.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
But I mean, it's slowly coming
Picking
back,
up,
you know, and people are hesitant to have a big gathering.
Well, they're
So,
afraid to plan it and then find out they can't do it.
yeah, or just, you know,
You know, that's a
just
problem.
cautious about it and
I know my
stuff.
neighbor's really busy with the big tents.
Oh, sure.
So-
You
But the
have
problem, of course,
wedding-
with that is, you know, we're
This
just
weekend.
about flat out of good weather for
Wedding this
outside
weekend.
events.
Yeah,
and
there's
stuff.
one last
And
week.
some,
Yeah,
one
but
last
he's
weekend.
got up to 40 by 60, so he can
Yeah.
accommodate it.
So anyway, you know, I mean, so the state's working on it, and, you know, like I said, we resubmitted it, and, you know, the guy assures they'll, you know, work away on it. Woodhall had a similar problem, maybe it's a stall tactic, so they can get through it, I mean, because they're supposed to do this in a certain amount of time.
Is that what she was calling you about?
Yeah, yeah, they're having the same thing.
All right.
The only other thing on financial is I am, exploring banking options and stuff. You know, I've got stuff out being analyzed at a couple other financial institutions.
I think it would behoove us to stay away from the big banks.
Big
I
box
think
Well,
bank.
none of them are big banks.
Well, I'm thinking that we need to go with one of the credit unions, to be honest.
Well, it's the two that are doing an analysis for us right now are MSU and then Horizon Bank, which is that one that took over the Corona branch from, because I was talking to our county treasurer, and that's what the county did, is they went to Horizon there, and she and I talked about it, she said, well, I'll mention your name to our rep, and he like sent me an email 2 hours later. Huntington's municipal banker's been supposed to contact me for the last 2 months and hasn't yet, so.
Yeah, well, then you got Portland.
And of course, this is because the bank's closing in Morris, so.
Well, I mean, until something, I mean, I'd like to know if something is gonna work out or not in Perry there. I mean, I get the impression that's kind of a 50-50
Well, as I
deal at this
understand
point.
it,
They're
that,
negotiating right now.
yeah,
There's
but the
too many-
problem is they still have their thumb on the use of that building.
PNC does.
Yes,
Yes, that's the problem.
and, because that would, I think Portland's the one that would probably go in there.
Oh, Portland is interested in it, but PNC is not willing to look away from their no financial institution rule in the building.
But they have a
At least
branch,
not without a check.
they have a branch just north of the hospital, just north of VG's.
But,
So you really gotta decide if you wanna have to go to Owasso or go to
Williamston.
Bath Township.
Or he could go.
well, from here, the fastest is gonna be MSU at Marsh and
Yeah.
Sam. I mean,
Sure.
pure distance wise, that's faster than Owasso or Wolf.
Well, it's if you have other things you do at the same time.
But, I have, and, you know, if they will, hoping they will at least get us set up so I can do remote capture, so I only have to go for cash and stuff.
Well, I know we can do it personally, so I would think MSU.
Right, right, but I mean, we have to have a machine on because we have, you know,
Right.
hundreds and hundreds
Right,
of checks,
right.
so I'm not gonna sit there and take a picture of each
Well,
one.
we've had our business account with them for a long time. They're very accommodating.
You know, the problem with MSU is they don't have a specific setup for municipal banking.
Oh,
You know, I mean, they can accommodate it, but, you know, the beauty of Chemical was they had a municipal banking program. Because we're a little different than a regular small business.
Right.
And, you know, it's just, yeah, it's unfortunate.
too bad, yeah. Okay,
So-
so we need a motion to.
A motion to accept the treasurer's report, pay the
And
bills.
Pay the bills, okay, and seconded by Butch?
Yep.
Okay, Mark, and seconded by Butch. Roll call vote, Darlene.
Mark Frazier,
Yes.
Francis Griffith,
Yes.
Joy Parmalee.
Yes.
Vote.
Yes. Okay, any correspondence, Troy?
I didn't have anything.
Okay. Public comments, unfinished business, none?
Do you know if Beth, she was gonna get the disc and the thumb drive from when Justin did that?
So what we've been able, the problem is our land use plan that we only have a PDF of it. We don't have a editable version, so we're working on converting that into an editable version if we can. The thumb drive from Justin, Beth was gonna reach out directly to Justin because that thumb drive doesn't seem to have any useful data on it, so.
And really, that's out of date because that was mostly census.
Right,
figures.
but I mean, Kelly and I went over it and there just wasn't anything on it, so
Okay.
she was gonna reach directly to Justin on that.
All right, unfinished business? No, going once? New business, snow plowing agreement, renewal, Troy? What do we know?
Okay, so the company that did it last year, Suggett Construction, they sent Kelly, a bid extension, which would be,
Renewal.
which was, 65 for the hall and 100 for the cemetery, which was what we paid before, so,
And that's what they're proposing again.
yes, that's what they're proposing again.
Do we have any other,
She did not solicit any other ones, because they offered to do an extension on it, so.
I make a motion that we renew the contract.
Mark's gonna make a motion to renew it.
Second.
Seconded by Butch. Darlene, we need a roll call, please.
You do?
We
We
do.
We do.
Yes,
Mark Vogt,
Yes.
Mark Frazier.
Yes.
Francis Griffith.
Yes.
Okay, the last item Troy's going to talk about is our audit. Every year we have to have an audit, and the audit was performed over several days, not just 1 or 2 days. And so Troy can speak to that if he can.
sure, you've got your audit report in front of you. It's not the fancy binded one, because that hasn't arrived yet. I mean, it was due last Thursday, and they submitted it last Thursday, but it's in.
Well, it's in.
To the state, yes.
That's good.
I'm a stickler on making sure they get that in. So, let's see here. So if you look at your small little report, first, that's your auditor's report and letter of comments and recommendations. So everything on there in the recommendation thing was all prior year recommendations. There were no recommended changes for this year at all. All the prior year ones is, it's stuff that really doesn't apply directly to us because we don't have a separate financial staff and everything else, they think somebody not involved with the check writing process should do the bank reconciliations, but everyone in the office is a check signer, so, it's complicated. But none of them are big deals, they have to know. Like I said, there were no new recommendations for this year.
But the fraud has been implemented.
Yeah, and I don't know why they didn't change that.
Oh, okay.
Difficulties, there were no difficulties, that front cover lever explains all of that. No disagreements with management, et cetera, et cetera. If you go through our main audit report, it's a good bedtime read if you're into that. At the end of the day, our general financial position, including all funds, increased year over year. A large portion of that was because we sold the property and that became liquid funds. But even beyond that, I think our overall general fund balance increased by about $30,000 with that taken out. Other than that,
What's our position to pay the parking lot, dollar-wise,
well, I think we had specifically in there, we've got now just about $30,000 earmarked. We have in the land and building funds, the land and building fund has $113,000 on it in it, even if you take that 30 out of it. So, we could transfer, some of that out. So yes, I think that's probably the capital project we're gonna have to tackle next year. We've milked it out for a few more years, and it's probably just time.
Well, it's not gonna crimp us to do it.
No.
No, I would just, what we can't do through the general fund, we'll just transfer out of, we have that sinking fund in the land and building fund, and we have other money in the land and building fund, and I would call that's what that's fund is for.
Yeah, okay. All right. we
So
need
are there
to-
are there any questions or anything with the audit? I mean, like I said, it's a good bedtime read if you wanna sit down and go through it page by page, but we were not over budget on anything, everything was normal. They assigned us several new auditors this year, I mean, new
People.
out of college type thing.
Younger people. But it went well.
It went okay, I
It
mean,
went
I think there was more teaching, we did more teaching to them than anything, but
I
it was
had-
okay.
I had 2 or 3 phone calls from them.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they're supposed to,
Usually you get one.
well, they did that, they repeated themselves a couple, 3 times,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
one of them didn't realize this, did that, and I told Luke that, I said, you know, Luke, fine to cooperate here, but I've been asked for the same document 3 times, and I've sent it, and he said, I apologize, I'll take care of it, you know, so.
That's a tall guy.
Luke, the bald guy, he's our lead, he's about my age, but he's the lead in our audit, but he had several new ones under him, I mean, these are people just out of college and stuff.
It's new for him.
They're learning,
Yeah.
so,
All
and
right.
they all, you know, we're much more, I guess what I would say, paper-based than a lot of places, I mean, I like a filing cabinet that has the bills in it and stuff, and, you know, they struggle with that a little, you know, they wanna sit at home and download it and all that, and then have the Russians hack it and demand Bitcoin to get your documents back and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's good for them.
So we need to make a motion to approve the audit. As
Motion to approve the audit.
Butch,
Second.
Butch made a motion to approve,
Second.
and seconded by Mark. And
We need a roll call, because it's
Darlene, we
accepting
need
it.
one more roll call vote, please.
Okay, Troy,
Yes,
Phelps,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Okay, and with that, October month is coming to an end here, our meeting, and it's about 7:42.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, seconded by Butch. All in favor? Thank you, good night.